Shalom, everyone. This is Sade, and I thought I would share today some scriptures on a subject that came across this little TikTok video. One of the Camps brothers was teaching on women wearing pants, and the title was "Attention, Women. God will not hear the prayers of women who wear pants." So first I got all in my feelings. I started talking all crazy. No. Y'all teaching. I said, wait a minute. Let me look at some scriptures. Let me think about this before I start fighting with the brothers, because if it's scripture, it's not that I'm fighting with the brothers, but I'm fighting against the Most High, and I do not want to do that. So I thought I would, I was looking at some of the comments, and I seen a sister that was really upset about the fact that they had titled that and went off to say that they were false prophets, and they're not teaching correctly, they're teaching wrong, and they're misleading people. So I wrote back and commented to the sister. I said, I'm not going to give her a name. I said, now I believe this is the scripture used to justify the title. So I gave her John 9:31. It says, "Now we know that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshipper, God, and doeth his will, him he heareth." Right? So I went on to say that so if wearing a man's garment is a sin, then yes, the scripture justifies the title. So in other words, the title justify the scripture, which is, now we know that God heareth not sinners' prayers. So if wearing pants is a sin, then there's an abomination to the Most High, because that's what it says, an abomination unto him. So I said, if wearing a man's garment is a sin, then yes, the scripture justifies the title. But then you would have to find scripture that defines a man's garment. I believe this is one of many scriptures that the brother used, which was Deuteronomy 22:5. It says, "A woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God." So then I went on to say, okay, so let me go to some of my study materials. So I have a Bible called the Cultural Study Bible. It actually is the culture of ancient Israel and their ancient culture and their heritage and so forth. So I came across some of the writings about the culture during that time of women. It says the practice of women wearing men's garment back then. It says this practice was from pagan goddess by the name of Ishtar. In Mesopotamian literature, the goddess Ishtar was having the characteristic of both sex, both physically and psychologically. She shattered the boundaries of female/male, war/love, divine/human, and more. Known as Aina Ishtar, she breaks all gender and socioeconomic distinction. It is suggested that Israel reacted to this type of description/perversion was to prohibit its occurrence in Israel. And I want to say that this is why Israel is always being punished by Yah, because we love the ways of the heathens. Always wanted to live like the heathens, do like the heathens, eat like the heathens. It says clearly in the tradition and laws there was a distinction between what a woman robe was and a man. That meant garment or clothing as well, not just the pants, but the garment, the full garment. So there was a full garment that was laid out for the daughters of Zion, and there was a full garment laid out for the men. The Most High made that very clear. Also, there's other scriptures that speaks about the garments. It says also in Deuteronomy 22:11, "Thou shalt not wear a garment of divers sorts, as of woolen and linen together." And then also Deuteronomy 22:12 says, "Thou shalt make the fringes upon the four corners of thy vesture, wherewith thou coverest thyself." So when we're trying to debunk somebody, brothers that's out there teaching, or even sisters, we need to be sure that we're studying and we have the right information, right resources and stuff, because we may be fighting against the Most High rather than fighting against the brothers or sisters that's still doing the teaching. So I also remember the scripture says that if a man speaketh, let him speak according to the oracles of God, that God may be, Yah may be glorified, his name be glorified. I also want to go to a couple of other scriptures. I kind of put this little picture up here for the women, the way the daughter of Zion should dress modestly. So let's go to 1 Corinthians 11. Was it 1 Corinthians? Did I put down 1 Corinthians? Actually, I didn't go to 1 Corinthians. Well, let's go ahead and go to 1 Corinthians 11:5. This is one of the teaching that the brothers also use. Well, you know what? No, let me go to the ones I have down. Let's go to 1 Peter 3:4. 1 Peter 3:4. So 1 Peter 3:4 says, I'm going to go to 3. 1 Peter 3:3 and 4. Verse 3, do not let your adornment be merely outward, arranging the hair, wearing gold, or putting on fine apparel. Rather let it be the hidden person of the heart, with the incorruptible beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is very precious in the sight of God. So now that scripture, how it applies to the culture, would be, it says the adornment. Ancient moral writers regularly condemn such form of ostentation. It says beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit. Ancient moral writers praise women who were gentle and quiet, and often contrast this virtue with dressing fashionably or in other ways seeking to attract men attention. It says a holy woman. Even gentle writers often use as example matron of the distant past, who were both idolized as respected for behaving better than current women. Sarah was the ultimate matriarch of Yehudian tradition. Okay, so that's 1 Peter 3:4. I also looked at 1 Timothy 2:9, because these are most of the scripture the brothers use. I know they do. I've seen it in the past. So 1 Timothy, I'm sorry, y'all. I just had that. 1 Timothy 2:9. 1 Timothy 2:9 says, it says, in like manner, also that the woman adores themselves in modest apparel with prosperity and moderation, not with braided hairs or gold or pearls or costly clothing. So the culture writing behind that particular verse, it says, adore themselves in modern apparel, not with braided hair, but with good works. A common topic of moral teaching, warning both among Judean women, involve excess adornment, using language similar to what appears here in the writing. It says Yehudian teachers were particularly concerned about men being sexually attempted. It says wealthy women sometimes braided their hair with gold, displaying their extravagance, because women normally cover much of their bodies, but single women kept their head bared. Men often found hair especially attractive. Wealthier women in whose homes the assembly often met often kept their heads uncovered in their homes. So that was 1 Timothy 2:9. Exactly. So that was in the New Testament. Now let's go to the Old Testament. I'm just going to use two scripture for that, and that would be first Numbers 15. Numbers 15, verse 38 says, speak to the children of Israel, tell them to make tassels on the corner of their garments throughout their generation, and to put a blue thread in the tassels of the corners. And that writing, as far as regarding the culture regarding that particular scripture says, tassels in the ancient Near East, special garments were made for priests and royalty that identified them within their communities and to the outside world. It says both men and women wore an outer cloak and wrapped it around their bodies or draped it over the shoulders. A belt secured it to protect a person from inclement weather. It functioned as a cover during the night and was considered valuable enough to secure a debt. It also says, look at Exodus 22, 26 through 27, Deuteronomy 24, 10 to 13. It says the black Amalek's 820 BC contains a picture of King Jehu of Israel with a fringed outer garment laid over his left shoulder. Another way they were instructed to dress. So it's obvious that God gave Israel, the woman and the man, a particular way to dress. And we just couldn't dress any way we wanted to. That's why he called us set apart. You know, that's why he called us holy, because we're supposed to be different than the other nations. So let's go to Deuteronomy 22:5. So let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 22. So hold on, I want to make. I thought I had that mark. Excuse me. Deuteronomy chapter 22. Excuse me, in verse 5. It says, a woman shall not wear anything that pertaineth to a man, nor shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all who do so are an abomination to the Lord your God. So I think I already read that about the Ishtar. That was the first one I read, about the Ishtar, about the goddess, and how that's how Israel got into a lot of trouble, because they start mimicking these idols and stuff, and dressing like other nations and worshiping their gods and stuff. So I just thought I'd bring those couple of scriptures out. I thought it was important to kind of like, you know, share those scriptures, because again, I'm still doing deep study in this, because I truly want to be living and dressing accordingly. And I think it's something that we all should be looking into, and not be so quick to debunk or start, you know, denying the fact that these brothers are teaching error, because there's some truth to it. So that means that if in fact, I'm not saying it is, if in fact it is a sin to wear pants, and that's part of men apparel, and the Most High said is an abomination unto him, that means that no, he will not hear our prayers if it's a sin, because we just read it, that God doesn't hear a sinner prayer, but he who doeth the will of my Father, he do heareth. So let's just continue to study to show ourselves approved, rightly dividing the word. And I always ask the Ruach HaKodesh to come in and teach me wisdom, and that's who I'm asking to teach me. I'm asking the Father to teach me the truth about his word, because we really truly want to be living correctly. We could be thinking that we're living correctly and doing things that we shouldn't be doing, because we're not studying. And that's why he said, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You know, so anyways, I thought I would share those scriptures, and I hope to get some enjoyment out of it, or at least to have you thinking about really start studying daily, so we can know if we're rightly dividing the word, and also if we're living according to the Most High and living uprightly before him. So I guess I can go ahead and just end this, and you all have a blessed evening. Shalom.